Good morning, everybody. You are currently listening to a Tall Girls podcast hosted by a tall girl named India. I hope everyone who is tuning in today is doing super fantastic. Before I get into this episode, I do want to say, make sure you're following me on my socials at a Tall Girls podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest so that you can stay up to date on all of the latest podcast episodes and catch a glimpse of my everyday life. Also, feel free to leave me a review and let me know how tall you are. I'm genuinely curious. Everything is going to be linked in the description. Funny thing, I have not been to school at all in this past week. Okay, by the time that this episode is up, I have not been to school at all last week. I know what some of y'all may be thinking. No, I did not skip school. Okay, I'm a studious student, but the school closed itself down because apparently it got hacked. Yeah, my school got hacked. Okay, so my professor labeled it as some type of network outage because the Wi-Fi in that school is trash. Okay, we have to use Wi-Fi in that class to do like 3D modeling and stuff like that. That's a whole other separate thing, but we need the Wi-Fi for that class, and that Wi-Fi is horrible. It's slow. Half the class can't do the work in class, so they have to do extra work when they get home simply because the Wi-Fi is terrible. So the professor was like, yeah, they're trying to fix the Wi-Fi and that's why they closed it down. Network outage, blah, blah, blah. But then I'm seeing stuff online that the school got hacked, and I'm like, hacked? What do you mean hacked? Like, that makes absolutely no sense. So I don't know the details behind that. I'm just glad that they closed it down because they did get hacked and we ended up going to school, and then whatever hackers, I guess you could say, is out there trying to steal our information. So I'm just glad that they caught that and that they're trying to fix it. But I'm a little bit confused because I thought it was a network outage, but we got hacked. How does that work? And shout out to you if you know exactly the school that I'm talking about, because it was up on TikTok. That's so funny. So all classes were online, which is great. I did not have to rush to school, which was very, very nice. Did I get more sleep? No. But like I said, there was a little bit less stress because I did not have to commute to school and deal with the transit system. So that was nice, even though I did not pay attention 85% of it, but we're not gonna get too deep into that. Anyways, enough about that. The fun is pretty much over because I do have to go back to school this week. They're actually, they sent an email saying that they're requiring students to come back to school. And I'm like, okay, I guess. But anyways, enough about that. I want to get into today's topic, which is all of the life lessons that being tall and growing up tall has taught me. Because the journey of trying to find that confidence, trying to be comfortable in your height, trying to be comfortable in your own skin, and loving the fact that you're tall is a very long and difficult journey, or at least it was for me. I learned a lot of things about myself. I learned a lot of things about other people. I've learned a lot of things about how to talk to people when they're not being so friendly to you, and I just learned a lot, and I believe that possibly sharing all of the things that I learned can maybe open your eyes to things that, not even just being tall, but maybe being short, or maybe having a very interesting hobby, or just something unique about you, something different, or just life in general has taught you, just to open your eyes to things that maybe you've never thought of before. I don't know. I just feel like the idea of this is to help you feel a little bit better about that unique feature that you may be insecure about. And mine was being tall. And like I said before, it was a very long and very difficult journey from elementary school. That's as far back as I can remember. But elementary school into middle school to high school and now to college, I'm still like having these experiences, and I'm still learning so much. Because this journey, as I said before, began as early as elementary school. And you know, there's always that one kid in school who is towering over every single student and maybe even the teacher. And that person was me. I was that person. And just that idea, just that experience of me towering over literally every single person it wasn't necessarily just being tall. It was the things that came with it, if that makes sense. People like to say, oh, being tall isn't that bad. For the most part, being tall is not that bad. It's the name calling and the body shaming and the unwarranted comments that are bad. And I've experienced all of that growing up. I've experienced all of that from a young age. And my self-esteem plummeted, quite frankly, especially in middle school and then going into high school were just not a good time for me, because that's when most of the name calling and the body shaming took place. And that's also a very hard time for a child who is transitioning into a young adult, because they're experiencing all of these like hormonal changes, and insecurities are like at their peak at that point, and all of that stuff. It's peak insecurity time, and you're just more likely to feel really bad about yourself when other people make those comments or look at you a certain way. And it wasn't until lockdown where we all had to like stay home and go to school online and just really couldn't be outside when I actually started feeling better about myself, better about my body, better about my height, because there was a lot of self-reflection during that time. So I just kind of want to share some of that with you guys. The number one thing that I learned during that time is that opinions are subjective. It's based on that person's upbringing. It's based on that person's experiences and thoughts and ideas. It's based on that person's values. You don't necessarily have access to those experiences because you are not them, just as they don't have access to your experiences because they are not you. So it's kind of like, how can their opinions define you if they're not even you and you're not them? It's based off of them. You're a completely different person from that other person or those other people. Opinions honestly cannot define you because they're subjective. They are based on the other person and their thoughts. They're based on what goes on in the other person's brain, and you quite literally have no control over that. So there's no point in fretting over that. Another thing that I learned is that it's okay to be different. It's okay to stand out in the crowd. It's okay to be me. We aren't made to be the same as this person or be the same as that person or be the same as this group of people. Yes, you may share certain features. Like if you're tall and you hang out with a bunch of other tall people, you share a similar feature. You guys both share heights. You may not necessarily be the same exact height, but there's also other things that are unique to you, like your interests, your hobbies, your passions, your goals, your career. We are not made to be the same as everybody else. We are meant to share our uniqueness with the world so we can open others and even open ourselves to new experiences, new perspectives, new ideas, new thoughts. And like I said before, it doesn't have to necessarily be like a physical characteristic like height. It could be your personality, it can be your hobbies, it could be your goals, it could be your career. And on top of that, with it being okay to be different, it's also okay if people don't understand your differences. That's on them. They're not living your life. So it shouldn't matter too much to them unless it's hurting them. If it's hurting them or affecting them, then we have to take that into consideration. But if it's not affecting them in any way, shape, or form, it just shouldn't matter. It's okay that they don't like it. That's on them. That's their opinion. And we're both just going to move on with our lives. I learned that confidence is also about being comfortable with and being accepting of the good parts as well as the quote unquote bad parts. In terms of like physical features or in terms of what you see as a quirk in your personality, maybe, I don't think that those are bad parts because those are part of you and it's meant to be part of you. But I can also understand that you may have insecurities about that. I've had insecurities about certain things about me. I still have insecurities about certain things about me. And I also think it's important to just be okay with the fact that it's there and that it exists. And you don't necessarily have to wholeheartedly love that insecurity, but you know that it's there and it's okay that it's there and it's okay that it exists and you're going to work through it. Nobody's going to be perfect. And that is what makes you a human being, and that is what makes you you. Being confident is, yes, thinking that you're a great person, thinking highly of yourself, but it's also about accepting the fact that you're going to have those insecurities and accepting the fact that you're going to think that you have flaws, and just knowing that you're doing fine, you're doing good, okay? Especially to the things that you can't control. Yeah, there are certain things that you can control, and if you think that that works for you to do more of certain things or less of certain things, especially if it like benefits your health, then yes, do that. But for the things that you can't control, it's okay. You are made the way you are supposed to be. So yeah, those are just 3 things that I learned, 3 life lessons, I guess you could say, that I learned from being tall. And it's definitely helped me with insecurities in other areas. So I want to know, what life lessons has being tall taught you? Hit me up at a Tall Girls Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. DM me there. Let me know. I'm going to end this episode here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you. And yeah, I'm going to end it here. I'll catch you in the next one. Good night and goodbye.